Hello, my name is Nikki. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I documented how I use my planner and my journal throughout a typical week. So I tried to just document anytime I opened up either my planner or my journal and what I did during that time. For my planner, as you may know, I use a Hobonichi Weeks. And for my journal, I've been using this Hitotoki journal with the insert that it came with. And this is like a B6 slim size. My Hobonichi is something that I open up and reference pretty much every day. It mostly lives at my desk, so when I sit down in the morning, I can look at any appointments or plans I have for that day, or any to-dos that I have that I want to get done that day, or in general for the whole week. Typically at the start of a week, I will turn to a new weekly spread, and I will usually have some appointments and plans already written in, because as they come up, I just write them on the day that they're planned to happen. I transfer over any to-dos from the previous week. Throughout the week, since I work from home and I'm sitting at my desk, my Hobonichi is right there. Whenever I'm texting with my friends and we plan to do something, I write it right into my Hobonichi so I don't forget. One thing that I'm doing this month in my Hobonichi that I also do at the beginning of each day is writing one thing that made the day feel worthwhile. So I'll kind of just reflect on the previous day and write that in. And then, of course, I'm always checking off the 365 checklist, which I use to track each day that I open and use my Hobonichi. The one other thing that I use it for, which I didn't document, is if I go to organizing meetings for a group that I'm volunteering with in my neighborhood, I usually take my Hobonichi in it to take notes on the meeting, on any things I need to follow up on or do. And also we're usually planning future meetings and events at our organizing meetings, so I like to bring my calendar with me so that I can, check my availability and stuff like that. Other than that, my Hobonichi does not really leave the house. If I need to schedule something on the go, I'll try to just remember it, and then when I get home I'll write it down, and that works for me. I keep post-it notes in the back so that whenever I have to write grocery lists, I can just grab a post-it note and put it in this week's spread and add to it, and then take the post-it note with me to the grocery store to get everything on my list. Throughout the week, I also will write in my feelings journal. I try to do this daily, but I don't put pressure on myself. So if I just don't feel drawn to it for several days, that's totally fine. Again, I keep my journal mostly at my desk. That way, whenever I'm taking a break from work, or I just have a thought that comes up, I can just open my journal and write it down. That's typically how I approach journaling. Is I don't usually just sit down and write a bunch of pages. I usually will just like write a sentence here and there and add to it throughout the day. If I haven't written in my journal for a while, I will just like sit down and reflect on like the past 2 days or like the past weekend or something like that. This week, for some reason, I only wrote a journal entry once. Oh, I will note one other thing that I wrote in my journal this week was some notes, because my sister and I were planning a trip during the summer. So I just wrote down some notes on like places that we wanted to stay so that I could report my findings to her. You'll also notice that I don't like decorate and write at the same time. I kind of like treat those as separate activities. When I'm writing my journal entries, I will like start a new page for each day. So there ends up being like chunks of blank space throughout my journal. And then when I have like an evening to myself, or I'm just like chilling at home on a weekend, I will just like go through and decorate those blank spaces, either with like junk that I'm saving or ephemera from things I've done, or packaging and stuff like that. Or I will glue in pictures of cute things that I printed out, and of course like playing with my stationery and stickers and stuff. Let's see what I made in this particular week. This week I was going through all of the gifts that Sam and Ben got me in Tokyo and Taipei, and I was just like cutting out all of the pieces of packaging that I felt compelled to keep. Was just finding places in my journal to fit those pieces of packaging. I also ordered some fancy beans from this company called Rancho Gordo, and they sent some like postcards in the package, so I used that in one of my spreads. My journal is a fun place to keep things that I think are cool or cute that I don't want to just like accumulate in a drawer or throw away. I can stick them into a journal and try to like be creative with it. I can always like flip back and look at things. So yeah, I had a lot of cute packaging from like blind boxes that I was sticking in there. I really wanted to make a spread for my summer bucket list, and I know it's like only April, so we still have some time before summer, but I feel like I've just been starting to have some ideas of things that I want to do once the weather gets warm. So I decided to just like make the spread so it's ready for me to start filling things in as they come to mind. I feel like there's times during my day or my week where I feel like I want to write to like get things out, and then there's times during my week where I just want to be like switching my brain off and just sticking stickers and like gluing things in my journal and trying to like not think about things. Yeah, I try to just be very loosey-goosey with it and do whatever feels right and feels fun and not care too much about like the end product. But oftentimes I find a lot of like joy in the end product too, and I think it's fun to like look back and look at all like the fun spreads I've made and all the fun stationery I've used. That concludes my little documentation of how I used my journals in this week. As you can see, some journals that I've talked about in the past, like my commonplace book, or like my recipe book, they weren't touched this week. Yeah, I think that's just like reflective of how I feel drawn to use like certain notebooks during certain times, and it's not like an everyday thing for each notebook. I hope you found this video interesting. I would love to hear about your journals and how you use them throughout the week. If you want to share, I'll see you in another video, hopefully soon. Okay, bye.